Hi, this is Robert Schoenberger. I am Vice President for Content Strategy at Endeavor B2B's Manufacturing and Engineering Group. And today I am talking to Rehana Begg and Mike McLeod from Machine Design. Mike and Rehana are over in Anaheim, California at the MD&M West show. And Rehana, who's head of content over there at Machine Design, why don't you tell us a little bit about the show and some of the things you've seen today?
Hi, Robert. It's so nice to see you I guess, all the way from California, as opposed to being at my home office. It's day two here at the show. Day one is actually a Medtech conference proper, and day two and day three, the trade show opens up to everyone, about 1,700 suppliers, and they come face to face with engineers from all walks of life. And for the most part, they're here to talk about medtech and what new advancements there are in the technologies that they can use and to bring to market.
Great. And Mike, this is your first day with Machine Design. You're our new senior
Yep.
editor, and what a great way to hit the ground running as at a show. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you saw today?
Sure. Like you said, I'm Mike McLeod. I just joined today, and quite a lot, quite a lot. The day started off with a keynote from Lauren. Let me check my note. Danfield, CEO of Guide Wheel.
Danford.
Danford?
Danford.
That's what. Oh, Danfield. Okay. And she was talking about hype in the AI for manufacturing or AI, industrial AI space. I think, the crux of what she was saying is that AI can be an amplifier, either for good or for bad, for manufacturers and manufacturing spaces. So if they have a good data and cultural foundation stuff, it can make it even better. But if they have sort of a weak foundation, it can make it much worse. I think the main metaphor she used was the traditional sort of thought in programming is garbage in, garbage out. But her point was AI can turn garbage in to poison out. So if you have bad data going in, AI can spit out very error prone but very confident kind of answers that manufacturers might not know or misleading or a bad fit. I think her point is to try and get to a point where you've got carbon in and diamonds out. I think the main thing is knowing the difference between garbage and carbon. How do you know if your data, if your foundation is in a good place or a bad place? And that's, I guess, the trick. And that's part of what her company sort of specializes in.
Yeah, so this past decade or so of the whole Industry 4.0 and interconnectivity, we've talked about there's so much data our machines are collecting. Is it the right data? Or are we really getting valuable information on these machines, or are we just collecting lots of information? So
yeah. Is it structured? Is it cleaned up? Does it have context? Is it contradictory or is it, you got to get her, I think her point was you have to get as close to the source of the data so that it's a good source and not something that someone's fudged or is coming from an erroneous source. And I think her other point was about the culture within the company. So if people are looking to AI to be a crutch, to not, to do less, then AI is just going to make that worse. But if they're looking to do more, then it can be a real enabler for people who want to do more. So
yeah. I can only add to that is one of the examples that she used or that she had actually worked on through her company at Guideville was a Johnson & Johnson example, which is great for our purpose in the industrial world. So the idea is to do more with the assets that you have. With that use case that she used as an example, they saw a 35% increase in their productivity. That's huge. And to add to what Mike is saying, in interpreting how they work, is that she looks at two areas. One was the data and the workflow itself. So there's the culture part, working on how it works, how you get people to use the data well. But I think for me, the takeaway was indeed that carbon in and get diamonds out. And the other takeaway from that keynote, which is also really useful, is that we're all using AI to some degree. Now it's a question of understanding how will we make it work for ourselves. So I'm going to be looking for what's my carbon, so that I can put out diamonds on machine design.
Great. Any other thoughts from the show today? Because we just have a few minutes here, and we're going to follow up tomorrow with some more insights.
No, indeed. We actually piggybacked today because my schedule was really packed already before Mike came on board. So we saw a number of companies together, but I went to IGUS, I went to Nordson. At IGUS, I interviewed a couple of people, and we were talking about, IGUS is known for their motion plastics, and I made some notes here for myself. So we chatted about what they're using as enablers for maintenance-free operation in robotics subsystems. So a nice little conversation there on how they are enabling companies to, and I saw this as a theme across a number of interviews that we had today, where organizations are now buying up companies that they can bring the full component, the subsystems in-house and be a one-stop shop. And that's certainly what IGUS seems to be doing. Nordson, similarly, for looking at multiple medical assembly automation applications. One of the applications I saw there was on an encapsulation process of delicate embedded sensors in wearable technologies. Makes sense because this is, of course, at a Medtech conference. Other than that, I have one sit-down, or at least conference presentation I went to, looking at where one Medtech analyst talked about Medtech 3.0 as opposed to Medtech 2.0. And pretty much the same message there is, how can you now go from the beginning stages of applying AI? Yes, it's AI again. and make that work. So I think that refrain is going to be common over the next couple of days as well, Robert. I actually, in my newsletter today, and the machine design newsletter, I started with a note saying that I'm going to make a concerted effort to go to make appointments and not interview people about AI. I really want to get to the fundamentals of the components and see whether they can actually get by a conversation without everything turning into that AI conversation again. But even there, they're saying, well, it's feeding our processes. So we really need, if we're not using it for ourselves and using it in our company workflow, regardless, you are going to be hearing about AI. We'll see. I'll tell you after.
Well, it's going to be a challenge for our times, is making sure that we are having humans talking about AI, not AI talking about humans over the next few days. So looking forward to speaking to you again tomorrow. And Mike, welcome aboard. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.